Patsy White. Originally, I was born in Oklahoma and I was raised in Wichita, Kansas. I never really had any aspirations. Grow up, I never really had any ideas. Mostly all business, clerical type jobs. I spent 15 years working in the medical field. I was a medical assistant. Doctors trained me to assist them in minor surgeries and draw blood and give shots and all those gory things. And then after I met my husband and started traveling, that was a hard job to do unless you did it every day. So I moved to San Diego in 1975. Yeah, I was 10 years old, but and I went to work in a hospital and met a girl. And my husband was her brother. He was in England building Formula 2 cars. So she tells me that her brother's coming home and she's going to introduce him to me and we're going to be together. I said, okay. And that was 75 and we are. Leroy's a fabricator, composite specialist. He got involved in racing very young, straight out of high school. He went to Germany and did an apprenticeship with Porsche building cars. And he did a few years in Formula 2, tried to get into Formula 1 and they told him, you're just not ready. So he came back to the United States and did Indy cars and IMSA. And then we did go in 1979 to England, and he got on Emerson Fittipaldi's Formula 1 team. So we spent 2 years living in England, which was a lot of fun. And then we came back and did more racing. Basically, I was hanging around racetracks in the right place at the right time, and somebody asked me, it was when we were living in Indianapolis 20-some years ago, asked me if I would be interested to come and work just the Indy 500. In those days with ABC, they had about 5 girls sitting in a trailer, and we would be listening to scanners, and then we could relay that information to the pits, which I would love to have that now, with somebody else helping me. So I did that for the first year, just worked out of the trailer. And the next year they called me and asked me to come back, and they said, how would you feel about working in the pits? And I said, well, I'm sure I could probably do it. And I got laid off from my job that year, so I let them know that I would have a little more time if they wanted me to go to other races, I could do it. And I think I've done every race since then for about 20 years. Well, my title is a pit spotter. And during the race, I am assigned about a third of the pits that I'm going to be listening to the drivers, talk back to their engineers. So I'm going to know if they're having a problem with their car. I'm going to know when they're getting ready to come in for a pit stop, if they're going to make any changes on the car. So I relay that information to my announcer, and then they know what to say on the air. Probably, yeah, probably too many. I think the year that Dan Weldon worked with us at NBC and worked in the pits, or worked with the broadcast, he was so much fun, and he was also good at what he did. He actually developed the grid run that Robin Miller does, because the first year it was Dan and Robin, and that was his idea. And he would come up with some of the greatest ideas, and as a driver, he would let the other drivers know, why you have to be on time for that interview. You know, we're choreographing this down to the minute. So that was helpful, and it was fun, yeah. You know, I'm conflicted. I have worked with ESPN for almost 23 years, and I love the people. I love the announcer I work with. You know, he's the greatest. But more than that, I love IndyCar racing. So I'm fortunate that I will be able to transfer and continue doing this. I had one of the yellow shirts today tell me that he was, they were going to miss me when I was gone next year because they associated me always being with ESPN. And I said, oh, no, no, you're not getting rid of me that easy. I'll be back. So. I would tell them you have to know about racing, for one thing. Approach a network. Go up to them. There are intern type jobs. You also cannot be there just because you're a race fan, because it's a job. I'm not chasing drivers for autographs. I'm talking to PR reps like you used to be. So, but it can be done. Anybody can do it. Well, I've lived in almost every state in the United States. Racing keeps you moving a lot. It was nothing for my husband, Leroy, to come home from work at the end of the season and say, well, the team closed the doors. We're moving cross country. And I'm real good at packing.
Yeah.
I can pack a house up in a day and move it. Oh, yeah. In the current drivers,
Either current or all time, doesn't matter.
well, Dan Weldon, of course. Greg Moore, back in that day. Leroy was with players for 3 years, and Greg was very personable. He wanted to be with the team. He didn't want to be with the sponsors. So that was a lot of fun. Tony Kanaan, I love. But all the drivers. I mean, I've been around them so long that some of them, I've seen them grow up. Yes, there have been some that did not want to stay for an interview or did not want to come out of their trailer if they had had something bad happen to them. And I would have to explain to them that for your sponsors, you've got to do that interview whether it's good or bad. And that wasn't always easy, and I'm sure there were times when people weren't happy with me, but that was my job. I want to be remembered as Patsy was really friendly, Patsy was helpful, and Patsy loved her job. So, but I don't know if I ever want to quit.